All right, President, one of the most important aspects of the tax debate right now is renewing, right, the middle class tax cuts. This is not about new ones. This is about renewing it. If we don't get that done, this will be a massive tax increase for the middle class. How important is this?
It's absolutely critical that Trump's 2017 tax cuts do not expire, because we're talking about it's going to be in the range of $4 trillion that could be at stake here. We're talking child tax credits there, standard deduction rates all across the board. We're talking about the death tax. So there's a lot that's at stake just from the extension part of this. The last thing, obviously, a number of many amazing things have happened in the first couple of weeks of Trump's administration. The last thing I think that you want to see for a Republican administration is to see the taxes go up across the board, and that's what would happen if the tax cuts expired. So that's, I think, first and foremost, you don't want to see that.
All right, and then we're talking about the other things like no tax on Social Security, overtime, tax on tips. This, I guess, the reasoning would say it would bring in less revenue to the government. You could offset that with some of these budget cuts and the things that Elon Musk is finding. I think beyond that as well, and nobody ever talks about this, is once you start cutting taxes and you let business owners, entrepreneurs do their thing, you bring more taxpayers into the system. They may be paying less in taxes, but there's more taxpayers. Isn't it stand a reason that the revenue could ultimately increase with lower taxes, but more people paying in?
Yeah, so, I mean, we've seen several times across history that across U.S. history that we've cut taxes and we've had actually revenues have gone up as a result or in the aftermath of it. So it isn't, the left will like to portray it as though it's necessarily you cut taxes and the revenues will go down by corresponding amount. But we know that there's growth effects. This happened with the JFK tax cuts. This happened with the Reagan tax cuts, and this happened in 2017 as well, where the amount of reduction in tax revenues that was called for, that didn't materialize. So there's going to be absolutely some growth effect that comes from tax cuts. But it also depends what kind of tax cuts we're talking about. So you really want to prioritize the sorts of tax cuts that are going to get people working, get people investing, saving. You don't want to just have handouts. We don't want to talk about something that's going to be in the in the realm of, for example, the stimulus payments that often happen. But if you're talking about rewarding people that are being productive members of the economy, I think that's great.
Well, look, stimulus payments, really what that is more government spending. That's not a way to stimulate an economy. That's a way to drive inflation through the roof, which is exactly what we saw happen. I know the people are on board with this. I'm curious to see if we can offset the tax cuts, even if we gave them the benefit of the doubt, which saying, okay, well, it's not going to spur more taxpayers. We got to offset it with tax cuts with what they're finding and what Doge is finding. I want you to listen to this woman who is really quite shocked by all of what we're finding out now.
They're telling us what we need to hear, and me just viewing the documentation and seeing where this money has been going, I don't understand why people aren't outraged. This is our money. We spend our life paying taxes, and this is where they decide to spend it? Ridiculous.
I guess, Preston, I can ask you, look, the Heritage Foundation for a long time has been uncovering waste, fraud, and abuse inside government. I wasn't surprised that we were spending money on many of these programs. What I was surprised at was how many coming out of USAID and the sheer prolificness of them all. Did it surprise you, or were you well aware that we were just going hog wild on this stuff?
The Heritage Foundation has been talking about USAID for decades now. I think some of the scale, having Elon Musk and Doge there to really open things up and kind of let people in, have a glimpse in, and see those details, I think has been fantastic, as you mentioned. And I think that the administration is just going about this in exactly the right way in terms of, look, you start where there's going to be a wide consensus. You get people on board with your agenda of making a more streamlined government. Get rid of the absolute waste and abuse and awful uses of federal taxpayer dollars, start there, get used to winning, and then kind of build off that. And that's what I've seen so far. It's been great.